Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Back here with an update on 8736. You guys can see it's looking a lot more like a locomotive now that it's getting back together. And this will be the last in progress video on this one. The next time you guys see this, it will be fully back together, up and running, because I really don't have much left on it. So I think I covered kind of what I was doing on the last video. Completely swapped out a whole brand new underframe on this with the walkways and everything. Mainly just because we had a few kind of gouges here and there. The plow was messed up on it. I don't think I showed that. I think it had a little chunk out of it or something like that. One of these steps here had a nice little chunk out of it. So just some things that I couldn't really fix that easily. And I had a brand new unused underframe ready to go. Nice new pilots. I talked about replacing the window that had a big scratch in it. We do have the different colored painted, the lighter gray painted antennas up there, the PTC boxes. This locomotive came with dark gray painted PTC boxes, and like I talked about before, I looked up pictures of this locomotive and it looks like that was prototypical, but I decided to switch it out for the lighter gray ones just so it matches the other three in my 8700 series. The re-gluing of the underframe back to the long hood went fairly well. Basically had to just take some time, make sure I shaved down and cut out a lot of the old remnants of what was left behind. I kind of showed you guys that in the last one. Nothing ever really fits 100% perfect, but some of these aren't really that nice from the factory. It's as good as it comes from the factory, so that's all I can ask for. Pretty good fitment overall. This is kind of tweaked, but it was tweaked from the factory, so there's not really a whole lot I could do about that. I did get the fitment a little bit nicer, but it looks good enough. This battery box here went on really good. Had to re-glue the steps in right there because those broke off when I took everything off, or one of them broke off and I had to glue another one on, but when I went to put this piece back on, that broke off again, so I just had to wind up gluing it back into place after the battery boxes were in place. But the fitment went pretty good overall. Let's see, what else did I do? All the paint boo-boos that were on this have been fixed. I kind of showed you guys there was a couple little dings in the gray on top here and there, and a couple of the grab irons along the top had some paint issues where paint had been chipped off of those. Those have all been repainted, repaired, so all that's done. As of right now, I just have a couple little paint detail things I want to get done on the shell before these special air hookups underneath the pilots. I got to silver tip those. The large glad hands that are on those, I want to get those silver painted. Other than that, there's not really a whole lot. I think I have some little railing things to touch up here and there. I have the railings that came off of this one originally are going back on there because the others have a lot of chipping in the white. They're still good. I just don't feel like painting that. So we're just going to put these ones on that are in really good shape. I still have to get the MU cables back on. I did get the so this locomotive, it was Tsunami 2, and if you have a locomotive with one of these blue panels, you know that all of the track power actually goes to one side and it's not on both sides like the panels prior to that. These panels that I have sitting over here are literally right before these came out. So this was still power on both sides. Now, I had an issue with that because I gave it new trucks from a locomotive that had one of those panels, so I needed longer wires on my front truck. And I ended up doing that fairly simple. All I did was, let's see if I can get a pointer. Where'd my... I had an uncoupling rod over here that I was kind of using for a pointer. Well, I guess I got this one. So what I did was I actually removed the copper pickups here out of the trucks that came on this one and put them on the new truck frames, and that gave me my longer wires. That was a really simple, gently pry the part off of its little, it's got a little captive piece right in the middle, and then some of them kind of fit where the ends of the axles go in are kind of a rough perforated push out that fits snug into the these end bearing caps here. So that was a pretty easy fix. I did not have to unsolder any wires. I basically just popped these pieces off of the other trucks, popped them into these truck frames, and then that lead truck is ready to go. No, didn't have to swap anything over on the new truck frame for the rear. That is both of these wheel sets, gearboxes, and side truck frames are brand new, unused in the locomotive that originally had the underframe that this one got. So we gave it all new wheels. There was some wear on the wheels. They were still all right though, but with this just being a completely refurbished locomotive, I want to throw all new parts at it because I have a lot of new parts to throw at it. I will refurb the trucks that came out of this just to have for spares in the future. But while I have new parts, of course I'm going to throw new parts at it. Why not? Nothing wrong with using the original parts. They were still in good shape, like I said, but I just want to throw new parts at this one just because I can. And so we got those ready. As you guys saw, the wheels are painted and in. I used a railroad tie brown for those. That kind of gives a nice kind of grimy steel look on these wheels. So got those painted up, ready to go. So the trucks are ready to go onto the frame. I have a new motor, and it is a new motor. I just wrote new on it so that way I would remember that this is a new motor. So those are ready to go. I can start wiring all that back up. I have to pick one of these speakers out of here. I think I'm going to pick this one. I literally don't care that it is painted silver because you're not going to see that. It does not matter what color the housing is for this. But I want this speaker because this is a louder speaker. Some of these speakers are a little bit more quiet than the others, but this is a louder one, and I want this locomotive to be nice and loud. So we're going to put this one in. So I got that ready to go. I'm just going to pick one of these blue panels. It doesn't matter which one. They're both 2019 panels, both working panels. So I'm basically in the short rows of this project. I have the fuel tank sitting over here with a bunch of parts that I need to get out of it. And yeah, 8736 is almost completely rebuilt, refurbished, ready to rock and roll. Really excited about that. You guys, I talked about swapping over the LEDs into the ditch light housings onto this one because this underframe and pilots actually had incandescent bulbs in there, so that was not a fun thing to do. Not hard, but just not a fun thing to do. Other than that, pretty smooth overall. I did talk about my oopsie daisy the first time I put LEDs in here. One of them just flat out was not working. It was broke, and I did not test it before putting these the actual ditch light housings back on. So that was a little getting a little ahead of myself was my issue on that one. Need to just kind of stop and take time to test things as I'm putting things back together. Once I get the rolling frame all back together, and before I put the shell on, we're of course going to test just the frame itself, test the speaker, make sure everything's working good. And then I am going to wire back up the lights to the panel, and then before I securely put the shell back on, I'm just going to rest the shell on top of the frame, put power to it, test all the lights, make sure all that's ready to go before I finally button it up. But 8736 is about ready to rock and roll. Really excited to have another 87 series. That's my fourth 8700 series SD70 ACE in the collection. And couple things that I need to take care of on these two. So if you guys remember, I had a video a little while back about getting 8772. If I remember correctly, I did not get that one with DCC and sound. I put a panel into it, and it's a newer panel than what was in these other two, so it starts out a little bit sooner. It actually starts out in like a Tsunami 2 setting on my old controller here. Not that it really matters in the long run. Eventually, I can speed match this stuff, but for right now I have no way to speed match. I don't have a DCC system to speed match. I don't have any program on a laptop for that stuff. So if I want to run these at my buddy's layout, I don't know how it's going to go. So these two panels are the same year of panel that I put in that one, so I'm actually going to take the two panels out of these two, put in these two panels, and then they'll all run the same speed or close enough for me to run them at a layout without having to worry about speed matching. And then I'll just kind of have those other panels as spares. Some of my older ones my older numbers do not have the slightly faster panels in them. So like you guys saw, I got this Locomotive. It's brand new, in good shape, DCC and sound, but it is the older panel that runs slower. But it's the same with my 8406. Those two have the same panels in them, so those two run together really nice. So I got a little bit of swapping around to do on some of that stuff. And then of course, I was painting wheels, and I use that to paint wheels, hold them while I'm painting them. You guys remember my 9000 is non-DCC and sound, so that's going to get this other blue panel, whichever one I don't put in this one, and then that will bring those two up to running the same speed as each other and the rest of this stuff. So all of my 8700 series and my 9000 series will run the same speed without having to really worry about speed matching anything, and all that stuff will run the same speed as these three units here. Now all of my Heritage units and my 8444 have the older panels, so all of those will run with each other, and will run with those two and a couple of my SD70Ms without speed matching. Eventually I'll have to speed match all those because I can't run them with anything else other than each other and those two. So like I said, all this eventually won't matter once I get a DCC system. I'm actually going to hope next year I can just buy... I actually have my eyes on a specific DCC system that I can grow into my future layout, but just for now it'll be nice to get it to actually have some fun on my test tracks, run through functions and stuff like that. So that's my goal for next year, is to buy that. I think it's like $500 or $600 for the system that I'm looking at. And like I said, I don't need a system like that right now, but I want to get it because I can grow into it, and it'll eventually work really well for my future layout. So I do have my eyes set on that. We do still have all the work ahead of us on 58, 53. As you guys kind of saw the mess that's in the last video. But this is just a quick update on this locomotive. Like I said, next video, you guys will see this back together. Might even just give it a little test run so that way you guys can see it running. And then I think my next thing is I'm going to paint the wheels on my 1111 or 1111, whatever you want to call it. You guys saw in the last video I did a silver frame swap on that, or silver underframe swap on that. Haven't painted the wheels yet, just kind of got it mocked up back together for testing, making sure everything still works, and it does. And so I've got to paint the wheels on that, and then I think my next two projects, I'm going to take these two apart, paint the wheels, get the panel in that one, get the speaker in that one, so that way those two will be ready to rock and roll. And then I'll probably do the panel swaps in those, get the wheels painted on that one, get it some weathered couplers. Already have some couplers weathered up, ready to go for some of this stuff that still has the plastic couplers in it. So I think I'm going to try to finish up a lot of these projects before I dive into the 58, 53, just because that's going to be kind of a lot of in-depth work to fix that one up. So I think I'm going to try to get all of these SD70 ACE projects done first, and then we'll go to that. I do still have to put weathered couplers on 1979 and paint the wheels, so at some point we'll open that one up. I'll probably do that after I do all the work on this stuff, and then we'll kind of go from there. So yeah, just an workshop update video on some of the UP stuff, and that's going to be it for this one, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed, and until next time, take care.